Hello and welcome back to another episode of the On the Sideline podcast with Jackson and Kyle. I am Jackson, and I'm joined here, as always, by the man who is very disappointed Bill Belichick will not be his coach next year. Kyle, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I'm not too upset about it at this point. We can move on.
I was just trying to find a joke. I felt like I had to do something Belichick related, but couldn't really come up with one.
Yeah, he's gonna go hang out with a bunch of 20-year-olds, so it's his favorite thing right now.
Yeah, that's good. Kyle, we have a ton to get to. 16 games are on the slate this week, and should be an incredible week. A lot of interesting games. I think real playoff implications as we're in the home stretch. Only 4 games left for each team.
Yeah, definitely hitting the home stretch. We have a pretty decently clear playoff picture. And I think we're going to reveal a lot with some big games this week for sure.
Yeah. Let's talk about a game that's not so much of a big game. The Cowboys game, Bengals Cowboys. It was an interesting game. Weirdly, Kyle, this is not the last time the Cowboys have a primetime game this season. They also have a Monday night game or a Sunday night game, actually. So that one might get flexed against Tampa Bay in a couple weeks. But yeah. I mean, we can talk about the game and all that. I think what we have to talk about is the play at the end of this game, right? So for those of you who missed it, which fair call, I think, the Bengals were in a prime position, or the Cowboys were in a prime position to win the game. They blocked the Bengals punt with 2 minutes left. Could have had the ball at midfield. A player tries to return the punt that had only gone like 5 yards, ends up fumbling it, and the Bengals recover. Bengals ultimately score a touchdown and win the game. That was, I mean, the main play of the game. That wasn't good.
Yeah, that was obviously very, very huge. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. It was a huge play, and it completely let them down. And there's a big opportunity there to go and tie this thing. And The Bengals have just found ways to shoot themselves in the foot all season long. And they did it again a couple times in this game. And it seemed like it was going to impact something. And then it just, that obviously changed everything. It completely flipped the game, obviously, and ended the game there for the Bengals. And it's a tough break for the Cowboys and just about checks out, though, for the season.
Yeah. Is a game like this, though, kind of why we can't really, I mean, the Bengals are already basically dead at 5-8, even 9-8. I'm not sure if that gets them in. A game like this too, though, just makes me feel like this is kind of why I can't really buy into this team anyway. Like I don't know if I'm expecting them to beat Denver or Pittsburgh in the final 2 games of the season, regardless.
I mean, I can't bet on it at this point. They can't get stops. Even in a game like this, I don't think the defense was all that convincing. Rico Dowdle kind of did whatever he wanted in this game. I don't even think Cooper Rush was like terrible in this game, which is, kind of problematic as it is. And so, I think that, having all that and still having a quarterback that he did throw an interception, but threw 369 yards and 3 touchdowns, and you're winning by 7 points. Yeah, I mean, this is a lost season for the Bengals and a bit of a problem.
Jamar Chase is really good.
Jamar Chase is awesome. Looks like he's going to get the Triple Crown this year, potentially as a wide receiver. That is a very impressive feat, obviously. And I mean, he continues to carry this offense and carry my fantasy team, which is something I love too.
Nice.
Yeah. So I have him in 2 leagues, but it worked out. So it's he's just having a completely dominant season. He's going to blow away all of his numbers. He's going to, he's going to get close to 2,000 yards this year, and it's been awesome. And he won't even sniff Offensive Player of the Year, so it's crazy.
Right. He's on pace for 700 yards. Already has 15 touchdowns too. He could have 20 touchdowns this year. DG says in the chat, is Chase better than Jefferson? I saw people saying this online. Kyle, what do you think?
I still lean Jefferson just because I think that there's a little more. I mean, I like both a lot. Like at that point, it's picking apples and oranges. I think it's safe to say these guys are 1 and 2, right? Like I think AJ Brown's in the top 5 conversation. I think maybe you slide Tyreek Hill out of that after this season, but I think it's very clear to say those are 1-2, however you have it.
Yeah, I think I would probably say I think that they're probably they're on the same tier. If I need a go route, I would take Chase. If I need probably any other route, I would take Jefferson. But they both can do it all.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, Chase after the catch too is just amazing. It's just one of those crazy things. I mean, the stars really showed up in this game. Micah Parsons was kind of a menace in this game, and it didn't show on the stat sheet at all. I think he had double-digit pressures, which is unreal to not get a sack with double-digit pressures.
Hmm.
And he basically didn't register anything else. So, I mean, he had an unreal game, I thought. CeeDee Lamb had his numbers too, despite, the quarterback issues there. And so, yeah, I thought it was the stars for both teams showed up. It was the role players again, feeling like they let us down a little bit.
Yeah, it was, there's some interesting stuff there at the very least. Micah Parsons was not thrilled with the ending of that game.
Yeah, I can't say I would be either, but yeah,
Yeah.
that was a reaction.
Yeah, definitely. Kyle, we neither one of us had a great week last week. We both missed our locks. Did okay outside of that, but both looking for to rebound. I finally slipped one week, and you unfortunately weren't able to take advantage.
Yeah. It's all right. We're here to chip away. We got 4 more weeks of this, and I think we're going to be in shouting distance for the playoffs, and that's all I need.
Yeah. Well, let's get into it, Kyle. Give me a game.
All right. We're going to stick with the Cowboys because I don't want to pick this game because I don't want to pick either team to win. So let's go Cowboys at Panthers.
Let's see. Where do I have this. Wow, Kyle, I'm a little surprised this is so high on your list. I had this actually pretty far down my list. I'll do. Let's start off the show. I'll lock up the Panthers.
Locking up the Panthers. Okay.
Yeah. I feel okay. I feel like the Panthers have played better as of late. I think at a couple of lock candidates, this one I feel all right about. I just feel like Carolina, their defense looks significantly better, and I think this offense, like I think Bryce Young is like a legitimately solid player. Like I don't know. I mean, this is a team that nearly beat the Eagles, nearly beat the Buccaneers, nearly beat the Chiefs. I get that like they lost all those games, but I'll take that over the Cowboys, who are barely beating the Giants.
Yeah, but they also beat the Commanders and competed with the Bengals in that stretch. It's not like they've been a disaster the last 3 weeks. I think both of these teams have actually been more competitive as like their season has come to an end, weirdly. I think this team, the Giants game obviously was a bit of a mess, but that was also a Thursday night Thanksgiving game. I mean, I don't know. I think this team's been kind of similar in the Panthers to a lot of ways. They're not getting as good a quarterback play. I think it's safe to say that, but I think Rico Dowdle, since he's taken over the lead back role, has kind of come on a little bit, had a decent numbers. I think the defense, honestly, since getting to Ron Bland, has been a little bit more competitive, and Micah Parsons back too, especially after all those injuries. And they're not facing Joe Burrow this week. I think Bryce Young has made a lot of strides this season. I think he's earned the right to start next season, but he's not Joe Burrow. And I think this defense has played a little bit better throughout the weeks too. So this game feels just toss-up-y to me. I think both of these teams can win. I think both of these teams are playing well, even though they're not winning games, and playing well to their talent level. Like they're not playoff teams, obviously. And I think the last few weeks they both played a little bit more plucky, and I think it'll be interesting.
I guess so. I get the point. I do think the Cowboys defense has gotten a little healthier and gotten better because of that. I think that's reasonable. So I understand the point. I don't know. I just feel like I just can't try. This Cowboys team just feels like they're in such disarray. I get it. They have played better, but I think the Commanders game was a really weird, fluky game. And I think that I don't think the Bengals are a great team. So I get what you're saying if there's no Joe Burrow, but there's also no Bengals defense that they'll get to play against.
Yeah.
Even the Panthers have been better this past month.
Yeah, I think the Panthers have been a very good team the past month, or not very good. They've been a competitive team the past month, but they're also still losing games, and they also struggled with the New York Giants. This is a team that I don't think has a huge talent level either. So yeah, I just think that I think it's going to go. I think it's just going to go either way. I think this is going to come down to the last possession. Neither of these teams are great. And I think, it wouldn't shock me if the Cowboys go and win this game, honestly.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know. I'm higher on the Panthers. I've seen this team I feel play well as of late. I like how both of our negative thoughts on either team was that they barely beat the Giants. The poor Giants.
Yeah, it's not great for them. But yeah, I don't know. Neither one of these teams are good is the problem. And I don't like picking bad teams to win. I learned that last week with the Titans.
Okay, well, hopefully it goes better for me. We won't spend forever on this game, but I'm locking up the Carolina Panthers to just got to win by 3. We'll see how it goes. Kyle, I'm giving you one of the marquee games of the week tomorrow night. Rams at Niners. Who do you got?
Yeah, this is a huge game for the division. all that jazz. We saw the Rams obviously light up the Bills defense. That was a huge win for them. And then we saw the San Francisco 49ers with a little bit of return to form there, getting a big result there against the Bears, 38-13. I am going to pick the Rams. We have Trent Williams again missing time. I know that they played well last week without him, but I'm not betting on it too many times happening. We haven't really got a good Deebo Samuel season. I think it's been a lot of Juwan Jennings or bust. And I just think the Rams defensive line is going to play a little bit better than what we saw last week from the Bears defensive line. And I think they've played better as of late. Obviously not Josh Allen. Josh Allen's a different animal, but I think they've done okay. And I think they'll survive this game enough to let their stars do the work. And I think it's going to come down to Matthew Stafford doing his thing, Puka Nacua, and Cooper Kupp. And I think that's a big difference in this game.
Michael with a super chat said, first time you picked my Panthers in 2 years. Hey, it's a new era, Michael, with the Carolina Panthers. Yeah. I'm with you. I was kind of giving you this game hoping you'd pick the Niners. I mean, they looked great last week. Like, undeniably, they looked fantastic, the 49ers did. But you're right. It's surprising. And is it disrespectful that the Rams, who just were able to beat the Buffalo Bills, now are underdogs against the 49ers?
A little bit. I think the thing is that people still look at the talent in San Francisco and say that's going to happen. But, we just haven't got the consistency from these guys. There's been a lot of talk about Deebo Samuel this season and a lot of talk in the media this past week, especially. Is that going to motivate him, or is he going to continue to struggle? Can we get back-to-back great George Kittle games like we got last week? Those are the things I'm skeptical about right now because we haven't seen it this season. And then not to mention, I know they made their field goals last week, but I think they have special teams issues. I just think there's a whole lot of issues going on with this team right now.
Yeah. The other aspect is, you look at points per drive. Currently, this Rams defense, fourth worst in the league. Although San Francisco is actually not too far behind. Neither defense has played great this season. Could be a very fun game on a Thursday night.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to it. Both of these teams can score, obviously. We saw Brock Purdy, I thought, play excellently last week, and we saw Matthew Stafford play borderline perfect against a awesome Josh Allen game. So I think both of those guys, can absolutely bring it. And I just think the big thing is what we see from the Rams playmakers right now and what they did last week. It's just really hard to bet against that, man. I think 3 of the last 4 weeks they've been absolutely awesome. The Eagles were obviously the one tough game that they faced, got beat up a little bit there. And I just think they're going to go into a lot of matchups as long as those two guys are healthy and just have a huge advantage. If you can't match up with those two guys, it just creates such a landmine for your team at this point.
Yeah, I think I agree. And I'm with you. I have the Rams winning. And huge stakes for this game. If the Rams can, this is what's interesting, is the Rams play the 49ers, the Jets, and the Cardinals the next 3 games. There's a way if they go 3-0 that final game against Seattle won't even matter. They could lose that game and still get in. That's kind of what they're playing for now. Lose tomorrow night, what probably happens is that they need to win that final game against Seattle. 49ers, again, really need to win out, being 2 games back right now with only 4 games to go. So this is a must win for the 49ers, and you'd like to have it if you're the Rams.
Yeah, exactly. It's tough to see Seattle, if they go 9-8, they're probably in over San Francisco. So, they definitely need to stack up these wins quickly. It's been a fun division. The fun thing about this division is there's no it hasn't been any great teams, but it's not like one of those bad divisions where it's a 9-8.
You can say the NFC South. You can just say it.
Yeah, it's not the NFC South situation for sure.
Yeah, right. Where it's the NFC South, somehow the Buccaneers have been the most watchable team the past few years in that division.
Yeah. I would say that's still the case.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there because we're not that watchable. We're all right.
Yeah. You got some guys. It definitely stinks that Chris Godwin got hurt this season because he was terrific this year.
Yeah, it does, Kyle. I agree. I'm with you. Let's move on. Why don't we? Kyle, give me a game.
All right, I'm gonna hold off on the true marquee game of the week because I think this one's pretty interesting. As things stand, these two teams are slated to face each other in the playoffs right now, round 1. And I think they're both pretty even, honestly. I think this is going to be a good game. Let's go Packers Seahawks.
Yeah, good choice. Again, there's a lot of good games this week, aren't there? I mean, there's so
Yeah.
many fascinating games. Yeah, I'm leaning Green Bay. I do think I am concerned about how this Packers offense will play against the Seattle defense that likes to play a lot of man coverage. Again, I think Packers fans have kind of disagreed when I've talked about Jordan Love's numbers against the blitz and things of that nature. But I think it's a real thing, and well, I think LaFleur can scheme stuff up to make things still happen. I'm just interested in how that works. I just like this Packers defense, and I think that they're going to do all right against the Seattle Seahawks offense. But I could see this game flipping.
Yeah. No, I think it could go either way too. I definitely think we need to see Jordan Love take care of the ball because that's been the big thing. This Seahawks defense has capitalized on some turnovers the last few weeks,
Mhm.
particularly that first Arizona win and the Jets win. That was a huge swinging point for them. I I think that they're both playing good football at this time of the year, which is what you want to see. I think the big thing is the Seahawks defense has played a lot better, and I don't know how you argue against numbers. Like you said, people were arguing with you about them. I mean, the numbers are what the numbers are. So,
Mhm.
you just got to do what you can. But yeah, Jordan Love has to take care of the football, and then we got to see this Packers receiving core, which I think has been good this season, get separation in this man-to-man situation. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a interesting game and a interesting chess match between good offensive coordinator and good defensive coordinator.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, also as we're mentioning, like the Seahawks offense is no slouch either, right? I mean, they,
Mhm.
they have players, and I think you could definitely say they have more passing weapons, and you know, I think maybe I probably even like their passing offense a little bit more in this game too. So I almost wonder, almost talk to myself, why am I even picking Green Bay? But I do like this Packers defense, and I like what Matt LaFleur can do. I think that they will be able to scheme up enough against man coverage to make it work. I don't think it'll be. I don't think it's going to be a perfect day, but I feel like this. I like the Packers. Although even with just a 2.5 point spread, that might be enough for me to flip it over to like a Seattle bet if I was doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd definitely be okay with that at this point. The big thing for me is like I think both of these teams we've seen on their best day kind of establish ground games. And, I think the Packers defense has played very well this season, both against the pass and the run. And honestly, it's been a huge step forward for them in that department. That was a much maligned group last year. And I just think it's going to come down to, can Josh Jacobs establish the run in this game? Because we've seen what happens when people have been able to blitz Jordan Love, first of all, how the Seahawks have impacted the game with their defensive line, with guys like Leonard Williams making plays in the backfield and forcing turnovers. So I think it's just going to come down to, can Josh Jacobs continue to play as well as he has this season, establish that ground game? And I think the Packers offense has worked its best by far out of play action. And that's what we're going to have to see a lot of in this game.
Yeah, and the ground game is probably the biggest difference between these two teams. Both their defenses are kind of the same in run defense, but run offense wise, I mean, the Packers have been one of the best, and the Seahawks have been one of the worst. So the Seahawks had a great game last week, though. So you got that.
Yeah. Yeah. Can Charbonnet continue that? That's going to be a big thing too. But, it's just both of these quarterbacks have been prone to make mistakes this season. I did praise Geno Smith a lot this season.
Mhm.
And I think he has played well largely, but he's also had some done turnovers too. It's not like his bogglingly bad plays like some of the Jordan Love ones, but he's had some bad plays too. And he's had some miscues. And I think both of these guys have to be able to take care of the ball, and that starts with running it.
Yeah, I agree. Any final thoughts? Or ready to move on?
No, let's keep it rolling.
Okay, well, we'll keep the marquee game for at least one more round, Kyle, because I want to give you one other game. Dolphins at Texans. Texans are 2.5 point favorites at home. Who do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to lock up the Dolphins. I think
Okay.
the Dolphins have played really well the last few weeks. I think that this offense is rolling, and I think they're catching the Texans at a good time of the year where the Texans have just not played as well. And I think this is a mismatch. I think Miami should be able to throw on them, which is not something we would have said earlier in the year for the Texans. I think that their offense is still having some issues getting rolling. And I think just overall, I think Miami is playing better football and a better team right now. So give me Miami.
I think it's a good lock. I think it's smart. I also, again, I threw this game at you hoping that you would pick the Texans. Not only did you not pick the Texans, you locked up the other team. So we're in agreement on the underdogs we have winning. Um, the one thing that I think has to scare you a little bit is, this is just thinking about it. The Dolphins do a lot of similar stuff to what the Lions do, right?
Mhm.
And they're in the passing attack. We saw how the Texans defense was able to get 5 turnovers in that game, ultimately still lost, but they were able to still, make Jared Goff's night a living hell. Can they do something similar here? Because I don't think this Dolphins defense is great.
No, it hasn't been great. I think it's been good enough lately, and that's the big part. There have been some developments. It didn't look that great against the Jets last week, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But we haven't really seen the playmaking out of this Texans team that we were kind of expecting. I know Nico Collins is still coming back kind of and working his way up. But the other guys, I think just in general haven't stepped up around him. So I think the defense will be okay. And then I agree with you. Like there is some of that stuff, like the scheme thing that worked for them in that game. However, like, I don't know. I just trust Tua right now. Tua is playing, honestly, I think some of the best ball of his career since he's come back from his injury. I think it's been that good. He's at a 74% completion percentage, 17 touchdowns, 4 interceptions, and I think he's been fantastic. Like I think he has been a major difference maker for this team. And, I think there were so many questions about what this guy would be at this level, and all of those questions year after year. Is he an elite guy? And I think right now he's playing elite. I mean, it just is. I don't know. Obviously I think the scheme helps. I think having those receivers still helps, even though it's not been an awesome Tyreek Hill season. But I think he's also playing elite football and making the right decisions.
You think? Hold on. Back up. So you're saying you feel he's an elite quarterback at this point?
I mean, no, I wouldn't. I still wouldn't rank him like top 5, but I think he's playing elite football right now. Like I think the last few weeks he has been.
That was kind of I agree with that. I mean, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, I just like, is he in the tier of the the Mahomes, Burrow, Allen, Lamar, Justin Herbert? Probably not. But I think I could I think you could debate him in that next group of guys. Honestly, I think he's getting close to that range.
Well, here's a stat that backs up what you're saying. Since coming back from the injury, the team with the best dropback EPA is the Miami Dolphins. And that's a 7-game sample size. That's not nothing. So this offense has been absolutely on fire as of late. So granted, they haven't won that many games in that stretch is kind of what you look at. In the Texans though are 24th in that area. So like, yeah, it's hard to pick Houston over Miami right now. I completely agree.
Yeah. And not to mention, like, this game is indoors. It is in Houston. So,
yeah.
It's an indoor stadium. I think that just kind of plays to it too. Like, I just don't know how you've watched these teams the last 4 or 5 weeks and came to the conclusion that the Texans are almost a field goal better. I don't.
I agree. I completely agree. I think part of it is Texans are at home, but yeah, I think that over the whole season you could maybe lean towards Houston, but I think part of it too is the Miami's one primetime game they had was the worst game where it was cold and they were playing Green Bay. I think that's factoring into people's heads.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I just I'm not seeing it this week, and I feel pretty confident Dolphins are going to get this done.
All right, Kyle, give me a game.
All right, let's go to the marquee game of the week. Let's go Bills at Lions.
Yeah, we knew it was going to happen eventually. It ended up being later. I think it's probably higher on both of our lists, but still ends up going fifth due to us having. There's so many close games this week. It's hard to decide which one should go where. I'm picking the Lions to win. I like this Lions offense against this Bills defense that really just struggled last week. I mean, that's not a strong enough word for what happened to it last week. I know that Lions have their defensive injuries. I still think they have enough players there that I still think they'll. I mean, again, we saw what Josh Allen did last week, but I think they can get stops. I don't know if this Bills defense can.
Yeah, I mean, there's really no argument for picking the Bills after the defensive performance last week. It could get better, though. I don't expect them to get diced like that. I mean, maybe they do because this Lions offense has been rolling. They've been doing what they want. It's not like I think the one thing I would have to look at is like this isn't like as conventional of a drop back offense as like the Rams were last week. I do think they run some similar stuff, but just having those difference makers, I think, is a huge part of it. And while Amon-Ra St. Brown is great, it's not. I don't think it's quite the same as having Nakua and Kupp to deal with. But that being said, this Bills defense struggles to make adjustments. They kind of stick to their ways. And are they going to make a lot of changes after what we saw last week? I just don't know.
Yeah. And because Key ran in the chat says, I like the Lions, but they're all hurt. It's like, they have injuries. Like, I don't think the Lions are in worse shape injury wise as I think okay, their defense gave up 31 points last week. 2 of those touchdowns were on short fields. I feel like this defense is still an all right unit. It's not what you want it to
Mhm.
be, but like this is not like a defense that should just be getting destroyed.
Yeah. There are a lot of guys questionable to come back this week. I mean, we'll see
Mm-hmm.
if that adds to it. I do think the one thing I do you have to worry about at this point with this team is like, it's obviously been well documented how they've struggled to get pressure since Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. Um, and I just think the last thing you want is giving Josh Allen more time.
Yeah.
like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we just saw it in the Rams game. He dominated that second half. I mean, that was as good as football as anybody's played this season in the second half, and his defense just could not get one stop, and that was the huge portion of the game. So yeah, I think this could also go either way because I think both of these teams can score. But that being said, I think what we saw from the Bills defense last week, and that we've just seen the Lions figure things out enough, and I think they're going to figure it out enough again.
Yeah, again, Kieran brings up it's not just the amount, or it's not just well, it's not about who is hurt. I mean, I think the amount is a big deal. I think the fact that there are so many players is part of what the issue is. I'm not trying to say that like it isn't an issue that the Lions have injuries. I just think they're a good enough team to overcome those. But yeah, I mean, Kyle, you're absolutely right. Josh Allen is Josh Allen, and the
Mhm.
reality is, I think Jared Goff has played mostly well outside of a couple of bad games this season. He's not Josh Allen, and this
Mhm.
is kind of the biggest jump that the Bills have, and it is always scary picking against one of those quarterbacks. But I like the Lions team. I do.
Yeah. And as good as Jared Goff has played this season, we've said this before on this podcast, so it's not like breaking any barriers here. There's just a different level between him and a guy like Matthew Stafford, right? And while I think Ben Johnson and the Lions offensive staff is almost better than anybody at scheming guys open and scheming situations, the Rams are also very good at that too. Sean McVay is no slouch at scheming guys open. There was still a lot of tight window throws Matt Stafford had to make in that game. And Jared Goff has a great arm. He's made some great throws. It's still not Matthew Stafford, and maybe that helps the Bills defense a little bit in that regard because it's just a different level quarterback.
Yeah. And the other thing too is if the Bills defense just doesn't play as poorly as it did last time.
Yeah, that would also help.
Yeah, but should be a very fun game. Definitely one of the games of the week. Both teams trying to get the 1 seed. Lions are obviously in better shape than the Bills, but Lions don't want to drop this game. Or if they do, that last game of the season could end up being for the 1 seed with the Vikings playing the Lions on the final game.
Yeah, gonna be a lot of fun, and looking forward to that for sure.
Yeah, Kyle, I'm gonna give you a game. I'm gonna give you the game we're all here to talk about: Jets Jaguars.
Oh boy,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, this is a good one from you. I man, I don't want to pick this. I'm gonna take the Jets just because I feel like I have to.
Yeah.
I know they won last week, but I'm not betting on Mac Jones. I think this Jaguars defense has played a lot better, and that's going to make it a little bit more interesting because, like, that's just as interesting as this game is not. Like, I do think that is a factor, but yeah, I just think the Jets still have more talent, and I have to bet on talent.
Yeah, it feels like the only reason you would pick the Jaguars is actually not a bad reason, which is just because the Jets are the Jets and they lose games. That's what they do, right? Like that's just
Yeah.
kind of it. There's not really a lot of logic behind it, but I don't know. I mean, you can't feel comfortable betting on the Jets. That's why I didn't want to. I gave the game to you.
Yeah, it's definitely the right call. Yeah, I go back and forth on it because I just like they just don't seem to care right now, right? Like I just watch
Yeah.
this team and they just like things fail and they just kind of like smile and shrug their shoulders and it's like, all right,
Hmm.
man, like you're just you're looking forward to your vacations already, which maybe I don't blame you. You've been killed in the media for nothing but a month. Um, you've already had to change head coaches and yeah, it just feels like it's all kind of a disaster right now. So I don't blame them necessarily for wanting to quit, but it does look like they quit. And at minimum, I feel like Jacksonville hasn't quit, which says a lot because it's been a terrible season for them too. So that would probably be my argument for picking Jacksonville. But I still think there's a talent gap there. And as bad as this Jets defense has played, like, do we have to talk about Sauce Gardner if like Brian Thomas Jr. or whatever has a big game? Like, there's no reason for this Jaguars offense to move the ball at all in this game. I feel like.
I mean, we could talk about it. I mean, corners are kind of known for having fluky, up and down careers. So I think that like he definitely hasn't been all pro level this year. I think Sauce Gardner is fine. I think you get him on a better defensive coach. I think it'll be fine.
That's probably the right answer, but there definitely needs to be a question about it because I don't think he's played as well this season. And if there's one offensive option, it feels like on this Jaguars team right now, he should not go off.
Yeah, I'm just saying, usually throughout the course of NFL history, when a guy is all pro level in the first 2 years of his career at the cornerback position, then has a down year when there's also a coaching change, usually it's not, oh, they stink now. Unless there's like an injury involved, usually it's the coaching thing is the main issue.
Yeah, and I could see them bouncing back for sure. So,
Mm-hmm.
I just, I think the Jets still have the talent, and you know what? The offense didn't play too bad last week. I thought they played very well until the very end where they couldn't get a first down to even get it to overtime or anything. But I thought we saw the best versions of Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson that we've seen a lot of this season. I thought Aaron Rodgers actually threw the ball pretty well for most of the game. It just kind of got away from them, and they couldn't get a stop at the end.
Yeah. No, I agree. Any final thoughts on this one?
No, I'd rather not talk about this game.
Yeah, with anything, I think we spent too much on it. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's go to your team, Bucks at Chargers.
Okay, yeah, I had a couple games ahead of this, but I was near this one as well. I'm picking the Chargers. I think I'm kind of pleasantly surprised the line is as low as it is because I've been underwhelmed with the Buccaneers the past 2 weeks. After it's weird where they were losing games in really impressive fashion and now they're winning games in not so impressive fashion. So I guess I'll take this. But this is a huge game. If the Buccaneers can beat the Chargers, it's the division's essentially a lock at that point. Not guaranteed. You still have to take care of business, but like you're feeling great. A loss and they're still okay, but you don't want it. I don't know. I think hopefully Bucky Irving is fully healthy. He can play, and they can they can move the ball against a really good Chargers defense. I think the biggest concern I have going into this, I guess, two things. For one, the Buccaneers defense just hasn't been great this season, and could the Chargers offense roll all over it. And also Baker Mayfield is known to put the ball in harm's way. The Chargers definitely can generate takeaways. I think those are the two things that make you kind of have to lean Chargers in this one.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the big factor of it is Baker Mayfield has started to turn the ball over a little bit more. He had 2 interceptions last week. He's got a tough situation here against this Chargers defense, which has been terrific. So I think that's going to be the big factor in this one. They also have a great defensive line that's played great this season. So there are things to definitely worry about as far as the Buccaneers go. And then, like you said, I do think the one thing, I know you said the Buccaneers defense hasn't been great, and, it hasn't been awesome this season, obviously. But I do think we have to talk about the fact that, the Chargers receivers, if Vlad McConkey's not able to go, they just haven't been very good without him there. He's been their best weapon, and, it's a lot easier to cover that group without him out there in the slot. So I think that is something Tampa Bay can look forward to. But as we've said all season, they haven't really been able to get pressure. And Justin Herbert's another guy where I don't want to give him more time than he has to have. So he's someone who can make moves with his legs. He can throw the ball downfield, and that is the biggest concern for Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle, Justin Herbert might have all day back there. I mean, with the tackles they have, and I mean, the good news is you can get pressure up the middle a little bit, and obviously Tampa Bay is capable of doing that. Just the edge, they don't really have much help. So gotta, I don't know. Maybe you just have Anthony Nelson's out there, just contained the whole time. Don't even worry about rushing the passer.
That might be the right move. That's a Belichick move for when he faced like Lamar Jackson and stuff. Just get 1 yard up the line and just kind of wait and don't let him run.
Yeah, that might not be the worst idea in the world. Listen, ATU Urban says Baker slander, don't deserve him. Listen, I've been very pro Baker here. The way the Buccaneers can win this game, in fact, is because of Baker Mayfield. Just like I said, it could be an issue. The flip side is we've seen him go off, and if we get good Baker Mayfield, that could flip the game the other way.
It definitely could. It's a big game for both of these teams, man. There is a chance that the Chargers are at, potentially a 5 seed after this game, but you definitely don't want to give Miami that sign of life. That's the big thing. And I think all 3 of these teams in playoff spots currently are looking at big games to get wins and, kind of extend that gap a little bit, because I do think if the Chargers win this game, it's basically a lockup that they're making the playoffs. Even if they lose that Denver game next week, like, they're going to take care of business against the Raiders and Patriots to end the season. And then at that point, 11 wins is just a math thing. So, they really could use this game to kind of lock things up.
Well, and I'm pretty sure actually even 10 wins would get them in. So just beating the Patriots and Raiders would be enough. But I agree with you, though, that, like, you don't even want to have to deal with it. You don't want to be in the final game of the season needing a win, even if it's against one of the worst teams in football. Make sure you just take care of business, win here. I completely agree.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like I said, you just don't want to give Miami that hope, right? Like, because at this point, I think Miami, they still have tough games on their schedule. They have to play the 49ers after this big Texans game, which isn't an easy game either. So I just think that, you don't want to give them the hope. That's the only thing.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and as Kieran asked, how many games can the Bucs drop to still make the playoffs? This is kind of a scheduled loss. The Buccaneers lose this game, win the next three, they're almost certainly going to be in. So not too concerned about this loss, but a win would go a long way.
Yeah, and favorable schedule down the stretch. I mean, you got the Cowboys, you got the Panthers. It is the Saints to end the season, which is always a contested rivalry, but at the same time, Derek Carr did just get hurt, and he may be shut down by the end of the season, to be fair.
Yeah, we'll see. I could see the Saints just playing him anyway, just to be annoying, but we'll see how that goes. Kyle, my turn to give you a game. I'm giving you the most disrespectful line of the week. Steelers at Eagles. The Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. Who do you have?
I was hoping to give this one to you next. I am going to take the Eagles. I think that the defensive line can cause some problems in this game. We've seen the Steelers get off to some slow starts on offense, and it may be tough to keep up, but the Eagles kind of have a lead and can run the ball and do their, annoying Eagles stuff in the second half of this game. So I do have the Eagles to win, but this is a disrespectful line. I wouldn't be shocked if the Steelers win. I think that they can compete in this game. And it's a big one for them. So yeah, I think that they have a shot to win this one, but I do have the Eagles winning the battle for Pennsylvania.
Yeah, doesn't this just feel like, I don't know, it feels like it's in Philadelphia. I don't know what the weather should be. This should be either snowy or like muddy, right? Like this it just should be a gross game.
Yeah, that feels fitting for these two teams. Just blue collar, we just need fights in the stands. That's what we really need. I condone fighting at this game, that's for sure.
Is this like if an alien invasion is going to happen in any football field and they're going to like be fighting us, like we want it to be this football field, right?
Yeah.
Like, these guys, we'd be all right.
Yeah, the Dark Knight Rises where Hines Ward runs the kickoff bat. Like, that's going to happen at this game. We need terrorist activity here.
Okay, well, hold on. No, I'm saying if there happens to be terrorist activity in one of the stadiums, this is the one that they would be best equipped to handle it.
Yeah, we would have people in the stands ready to fight.
Yeah,
they'd be taking on Bang for sure. No, this should be a fun one. I do think the big thing with this line, and probably I'm assuming why this is the thing, is that George Pickens is questionable, and he missed last week. He didn't practice on Wednesday, and I kind of get the 5.5 if George Pickens isn't playing, because I know they won last week, but I just think he's such a huge part of their offense. Taking on a defense like this one without him seems like a really tall task, honestly. So I think that's the huge thing.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that, like, because I can definitely see this Steelers defense, like, just, playing even with this Eagles offense, maybe even overpowering this Eagles offense at times. Like, this is a really good Steelers defense. They stopped the run well. They stopped the pass even better. They rushed the passer so well. Again, the trenches between the Eagles offensive line and the Steelers defensive line is the marquee matchup of the week. How are the Steelers going to move the ball in this game, especially if Pickens isn't there? But even if he is, it feels like it's going to be tough.
Yeah. They had 6.1 yards per pass last week. They had 3.4 yards per carry. And, they facing a Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis front line, like, I just don't see it. I don't see it if Pickens isn't out there. I think they're going to pack the box. They're going to force those one-on-one plays, and they have corners out there that can win one-on-one battles. So I do think it's a really tough task. But if Pickens plays, I think it's going to be a fascinating matchup, because he is a difference maker in this game. He is a difference maker on the outside, and he can beat even a Darius Slay or a Quinyon Mitchell.
How many deep shots, we'll say passes of 30 yards or more, do the Steelers need to hit to win this game?
I would say 3 or 4.
Yeah.
I think Russell Wilson has to be in his bag this week.
And he's 100% going to try that more than that many times.
Yeah.
That's like we're saying that seems like a high number. It isn't with how they're going to play this game.
No, this team is built to take shots in the passing game. That's what they do. That's what Russell Wilson does.
Mm-hmm.
It is kind of his situation.
Yeah, it's really interesting. So the way these two teams, who are also both fighting for the one seed in their respective conferences, interesting how we have, two really good interconference matchups this week. If the Steelers can beat the Eagles, then they play the Ravens. The last game of the season is the Bengals, and they play the Chiefs. So if they can win out, they would still need another Chiefs loss in there. Is the issue? But if they can get that other Chiefs loss, they could still get the one seed. It's going to take some work, and it's basically dead if they lose this game, but it's possible. The Eagles need to win out probably as well. And even if the Lions lose this week, that wouldn't be enough. They need another Lions loss, but still trying for it here.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the Lions do have some tiebreakers there, so that is the big thing. So they would need a couple losses, but yeah, it just it does feel like which team, I guess I should how do I phrase this? Which team losing probably ends I think both teams, if either team loses, that probably ends the one seed debate, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think so.
the one seeds would be locked up if either one of these teams loses.
Yeah, I agree. I think both teams. I think the loser of this game will not get the one seed.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely going to be a fascinating one, but I think it's it feels hard to believe that this is a 5.5 point game. These are two teams that are Super Bowl contenders. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, this could be a Super Bowl preview. Who knows? Should be a lot of fun. How fun would that Super Bowl be?
That'd be insane.
If that happens, we have to again, we have to just move it up to play it in Nebraska or something. Like, it's got to be cold.
Yeah, it's got to be in the snow.
Yeah.
We need some boxers there,
Mm-hmm.
just ready to fight. I mean, we might as well just turn it into a brawl, like just Pittsburgh against Philadelphia in a fight.
Yeah, if it goes to overtime, that should be instead of the coin toss. Is that?
Yeah, they just fight each other.
The XFL, like you just throw the ball and you have to wrestle it or whatever it was.
Yeah. How do you think the state of Pennsylvania would handle that?
I think fine. I feel like I've lived close to that area. It seems like it's pretty it seems like if you live on one side, you're pretty clearly an Eagles fan. If you live on the other, you're pretty clearly a Steelers fan.
Yeah, I guess that's fair.
Most Steelers fans don't live in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, they are kind of a national team, aren't they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I think it would be fine because most people in Pennsylvania are just Eagles fans.
That's funny.
Yeah. Let's move on. Hopefully no Pennsylvania Steelers fans get mad at me. There's a lot of great Steelers fans. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's do. Man, I don't want to give you this game, but it is next on my list, and I think it's the right play. Colts at Broncos.
Okay, yeah, it was next on my list as well. So I'm surprised that you're so hesitant. I think it's a fine time to give me this game. I'm picking Denver to win. I think that we both kind of feel as though Denver is the better team, and Denver feels like the playoff team. The Colts kind of maybe are a little better than their record would indicate, given the fact that they've had turmoil at the quarterback position. That being said, they pull off this victory. They now are playing legitimately, I think, the three worst teams in football the final stretch of the season: Titans, Giants, and Jaguars. They win this game, they're probably in the playoffs, or at least have a really good chance of being in the playoffs. So, well, I think I like Denver. It's again, stakes going to be higher for really both these teams.
Yeah. I mean, Indianapolis is playing for their playoff lives at this point. There is a scenario where I think the AFC playoffs are basically wrapped if the Texans and Broncos win this week. I think that would basically end all hope. I know technically those teams wouldn't be mathematically eliminated, but I think it is a foregone conclusion that would happen. But I just think Denver's a better team, man. I really do. I have a hard time seeing Anthony Richardson throw on this team. Now, granted, could Indianapolis just run the ball 40 times and possibly get some results? Maybe, but we haven't really seen them do that all year, and I don't see why they would start doing it now. So yeah, I just think it's going to come down to I have a hard time seeing that happening, and I think Denver's defense is going to overwhelm them.
Yeah, I think I think I agree. I think that's the issue. And is this Anthony Richardson's going to give the Broncos defense opportunities, right? And it really comes down to if they can protect the football, and if this is a game where Richardson doesn't make mistakes, or maybe only makes one and it doesn't come back to bite them, that feels like the way, right? And then you can maybe get a couple positives. That's what needs to happen here. Or maybe the flip side. Maybe you just need Anthony Richardson to make 3 or 4 like big plays down the field. We saw Jameis Winston, who's, I think you could argue there's similarities between these two quarterbacks. I think Winston's better, but like we saw him take chances and have it work out. Could there be some weird way where that actually helps against a team that's kind of not used to teams trying them?
Yeah. There is a case for it, but at the same time, you have to hit them, and that's something I just don't know what's going to happen. I know the Browns had success obviously last week, but it still just seems like it's too much to ask a quarterback who, I mean, let's be honest. I think he's played better since coming back from being benched. I don't think he's been great, so I think it's a tough ask that way.
Yeah, no, I think that we're both in agreement that like the Broncos are the better team. Is that really the strategy? You think the Colts are just going to run the ball 100 times?
I think they have to. I think you'd have to consider it, right? Because I just don't see how you look at the secondary in your quarterback situation and say, yeah, let's do that. So
Yeah.
I think you're going to have to run the ball a whole bunch. You're going to have to use Richardson's legs and hope he slides and stays healthy. And then you're going to have to beat him in the play action because that's the only way you're getting big shots on this team, I think.
Yeah, I think the only other thing you look at is like this Colts defense started off the season really not that great, has consistently played better as of late, right? And I think that's the thing you look at. I mean, it still hasn't been as good as the Broncos, but like, we've been waiting for Bo Nix to play like a rookie all season. He had a few bad games early on and basically hasn't had that happen since. Is there any way you can, get him into some mistakes? I would bet on no, right? Because Bo Nix has been really good this year.
He's been really good. I think Sean Payton at the wheels has done a very good job coaching him too. I think that at this point, I have to rely on what I'm seeing, which is Bo Nix is playing great football. So he's had some mistakes here and there, but it hasn't been enough to really dissuade me from thinking that he can't have success against this team.
Yeah, I agree. Should be a very interesting game though. This is one that like, I think the late slate this week is great. I'm trying to remember it's this game. You have Buccaneers, Chargers, and then you have Bills, Lions, and Steelers, Eagles, and then one more game, Kyle.
Yeah. No, that is really good. I'm looking forward to that. What is that other game?
It's your team, the Patriots, Cardinals.
Oh, are we in the afternoon? Oh,
yes, because you're playing in Arizona. That's tough that you got to watch your team in that slate. It's like this all times, like everyone is going to have like the quad box with Buccaneers, Chargers, Colts, Broncos, Bills, Lions, and Steelers, Eagles, and poor you has to get the Patriots on there.
Yeah, I might go to a bar so I could see all of them.
Yeah, might be a good idea.
Yeah, who would what was I going to ask you? Should they do a college style rivalry trophy for this one, Battle of the prancing horses or something like that?
I don't think so. No, I would say no.
I mean, we got two teams with horse logos. I mean, it feels appropriate.
I guess, is that like a big, like, I guess, do the Buccaneers get like the pirate trophy from last week beating the Raiders?
I would be for it. If there are matching team logos, I say do it.
Yeah, okay.
There'll be a lot of bird
Should we have trophies.
Bird trophies? Just like one team gets the bird trophy at the end of the season, whatever team lasts the longest.
Okay, I like that. Whichever bird team that performs or is it whichever bird team does the best against other bird teams? I think it would have to be that, right?
Yeah, like a head-to-head record against them. Yeah, I respect it. It'd be like the Army, Navy, Air Force thing. So there we go. What other rivalries can we have? Do we have any other sea creatures besides dolphins? That would be a fun one.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any. I mean, do you do like the Texans and Cowboys? Does that work?
You could do Texans, Cowboys. I mean, that's an interstate one anyway, so that works. You could do
you could do like Steelers and Packers of both like, industry workers.
There you go. See, I mean, look, we're rolling here. We can't do Commanders Chiefs anymore. You know?
No. Yeah, that's unfortunate. Not unfortunate. That's fortunate.
Yeah, I guess so. Can we do let me see here. Can we do 49ers include in that Packers Saints or Packers Steelers one? I mean, gold miners.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't think it's a matchup for Saints. I don't think Saints have one.
No, there's not a lot of religious figures here in the NFL. Do we do Jaguars Panthers? I mean, that's one.
Yeah, that's definitely one. There you go. What is there more than one? Are those only two cats in this? I guess so. It feels like there should be more.
The Hello Kitty trophy? No, that's it. We got the Bears, the Lions, I guess.
I guess so. You could make it work. How long are we doing this bit for, Kyle?
I don't know. I can keep going, I guess. Should we do the Vikings and Patriots?
Yeah, I think so. I think
There we
that
go.
works.
All
Uh-huh.
right. So we gave everyone a rivalry trophy. Let's do it.
Okay. And I like how there's like 6 bird teams that just all like work together. And the rivalries are solely based off of oh yeah, we forgot the Lions are a big cat team.
Yeah. What mascot do you think would win a battle if all of them fought?
If all of the mascots fought, let's save to the end. How about at the end of the show we can do which mascot would win a battle, Kyle? I know you don't want to talk Colts Broncos anymore, but we have other games to get to.
All right, fine. We can keep going.
Let's talk about 2 teams we'd much rather play. Talk about the Falcons versus the Raiders, Kyle. This is the game you're excited about.
No, I am not. I'm picking the Falcons,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, because I have to pick the Falcons. This is not going to be a fun game. Yeah, Falcons.
That's it. That's all you have. It's not a fun game. You're still thinking about the mascot thing.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about it, honestly. I think I'm
Okay,
leaning
go,
Titans right now.
what's your mascot take, Kyle? Who would you have as the mascot that would win the fight against all the other mascots?
I guess deities have to win, right? So the Titans win. Like that feels
Well,
like an easy one.
are we doing like the actual thing of the mascot, or are we doing like their actual mascots?
No, I was thinking the thing because I don't know, like. Yeah, I think it would be the thing. So
Okay, well then yes, I would say the Titan would probably be. I think that would beat the Cardinal. I think that would have a leg up there.
well, the only one that would could the only one that's a debate to me is like I don't know. Do the Chargers get like Zeus or something, or is it just like lightning strikes? Because
I think the Chargers get electricity. Well, is that a what is the origin of the Chargers name? I'm not actually sure.
I think it's just a lightning bolt.
Is it okay? I thought it was maybe like I don't know. I thought it could be like another industry thing.
An iPhone charger?
Yeah, I don't know.
Industry plans?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure. Yeah, I think the Titan would have a pretty strong leg up on it. I can't think of a close second.
If we're taking away deities,
What about the Saints?
No, they're not gods. They just what are they going to pray for this win? I don't know.
Maybe, yeah. I mean, it depends on how religious you are. If you're Catholic, you're probably thinking the Saints would be the strongest.
Yeah, maybe. By the way, we forgot the Bengals for the cat trophy.
Yeah, I was sure there was more than 2 cat teams. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. The Patriots have a gun, but at the same time, musket that takes a long time to load.
It
So
does.
you're probably only taking out 1 cat at that point, and then you're dead. I think a bear would be a formidable opponent for a lot of these teams. Buffalo would be tough too. I think it's I think we got a lot going there. It's a lot going on.
The Packers would be in a tough spot.
Yeah, I would imagine that one. And isn't like what is the Browns again? It's like a little elf dude, right? Like
I
that's
guess so.
probably
Yeah.
Yeah, you're out.
Or you
right
could do a
away.
dog.
Yeah, you're still out right away. I think.
What about the Jets? If you take out the Titans, Jets would have a good chance.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, do you get the pilot too? I'm assuming, right? So that's probably a
Yeah,
slam dunk.
I guess so. Because if it's just a jet, it wouldn't go so well.
Yeah, there's not really anything else anyone could do to that. What are any of these animals going to do against that?
Yeah, I think jet is number 2.
Yeah, that's probably the right answer.
Okay, did we get that out of your system, Kyle? Are we good to talk football again?
Yeah, let's talk football.
Okay.
Falcons, Raiders. Yeah, I mean, what else is there to say about this team? This Raiders team,
Yeah, which
is
we
stinky.
covered it pretty well.
Yeah, this Raiders team is stinky. They can't cover the pass. They don't really have anything except for Max Crosby. And as bad as I think the Falcons have been this season, and as fraudulent as I think they are, they beat bad teams for sure. And that's what they've done this season. And this is very much a bad team.
Yeah, I think, and for the Atlanta, who desperately needs a win, they play the Raiders and the Giants the next 2 weeks. So this is they have to win these games. It's looking like the Desmond Ridder thing isn't going to happen. It's looking like Aiden O'Connell's probably going to start, which is a bummer, right? We wanted Desmond Ridder in this game.
Yeah, we needed the revenge game. Like, what do we need Aiden O'Connell for?
Yeah, absolutely nothing. I mean, the Raiders. I thought, like, we talk about teams that have quit. They're still trying. Also, this is a Monday night game.
That sucks.
Yes, this one and then the Bears Vikings are the 2 Monday night games this week. Yeah, so I guess we'll watch Bears Vikings, I suppose. Even that's not a great Monday night game. But I mean, the Raiders have been trying. I think they're going to run the ball a lot, and the Falcons defense needs to get right here, right?
Yeah, I mean they should. But to be fair, I think the Raiders have actually moved the ball okay on offense. We've seen Jacoby Myers and Brock Bowers have some decent days. This sincere McCormick the last few weeks has actually been pretty good in limited carries. So like they my issue with the Raiders right now, I mean the offense isn't great, but it's not like something at I think the defense is more problematic than the Raiders offense right now. Like I think I've seen enough decent plays I think from the offense and some playmakers there to be like okay, I think that they can do something here, but I just think the defense is going to get shredded in this game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, but I mean, this Falcons offense can't shred anybody. Well, I mean, it
I mean,
can, but
they've
then it
done it
also
this
gives the
season.
ball over,
Yeah, I mean, they've
and
done
they
it
can
this
shred Tampa Bay.
season. Yeah, I just think they've done it this season, man. I don't know. Do you want Penix right now?
Yes, yeah. I wanted Penix a month ago.
You always want Penix?
Yeah, I think in theory, I think I'd rather have Penix than no Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, that's fair. I could ride Penix all day long. That's fair.
Okay, all right, Kyle. What has gotten into you? This is the 16 game format. I think is gone a little long for Kyle.
Yeah, it's a long show. That's fair.
Okay, well, we can move off of this game. I could probably go more, but I think we've got to just keep things moving here. Kyle, give me a game.
Let's go Chiefs at Browns.
Okay. I'm picking the Chiefs to beat the Cleveland Browns. It would be hilarious if the Chiefs lost this game, right? If they beat all those teams, but they just got crushed, lose like 40-0.
Jameis Winston's coming for that. You know,
Uh-huh.
he is coming for the crown here. Yeah, I mean, you have to pick them to win this one, but you know, this is going to come down to something lame at the end of the game. We're going to see Jameis Winston have some amazing plays in this game. We're also going to see him have some plays that it's like, what are you doing? And then it's going to end up at a 3-point game at the end.
I mean, the one thing that I do find fascinating about this game is like we see Jameis Winston and how he plays. This game could end up being a shootout. It could be something where Winston throws, multiple interceptions, and that's what creates the shootout. But like, how can the Chiefs play in a game like this? I think it could be fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, if the Browns are actually able to move the ball and score consistently, because the tough thing is like there just haven't been a lot of shootouts for Kansas City because their drives take so long,
Yeah.
And if they're gonna have these long drives that take forever, you're just not gonna get the ball a whole lot, and you're not gonna be able to put up a lot of points. But we've seen the long passing game work for Cleveland this season. We've talked a lot about Jerry Jeudy and what he's done this season, and him and Jameis have had a connection this year and played well. So yeah, I think that's going to be the huge factor in this game. And if the Browns can create big plays, they have a shot, but that is still a long shot.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't even think they necessarily do they need big plays, or can they just have like a consistent offensive performance, and will that be enough? Again, this Chiefs.
But you're asking Jameis Winston to have a consistent offensive performance.
Okay, fine. But maybe he has a couple turnover-worthy plays that aren't caught or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, they would need some luck on their side for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which it's a good pick because you never want to pick against Jameis Winston or for him.
Yeah, and the Chiefs have been weird. Like this has been a very weird season. Like you can give them the benefit of the doubt because they have Mahomes and they win all these games, but like you just think sooner or later they're going to have a dumb loss because stuff like this usually catches up to you.
Yeah, it's very. I don't think I've ever seen a team like have this many one-score wins in the regular season and then go on to win the Super Bowl. Right? I can't think of a team.
No, not really.
Yeah, but again, I've never seen a team win 3 straight Super Bowls. That could happen as well. Kyle, let's move on. Unless you had more to say about Chiefs, Browns. Let's go to. I'm going to give you Bengals Titans.
Yeah, this is next for me. There's just no way to pick the Titans after what we saw last week. That was a sad performance. I do think we've seen better stuff from Will Levis this year as the season gone along. It was not good last week. But that being said, like we've seen him, Calvin Ridley, Nick Westbrook-Ikine have some moments, and this is a very bad Bengals defense, so they can continue to have moments. But it's still Joe Burrow, and I'm betting on Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair. I think that this Bengals team, you can't really feel too confident about them this year, but like you're right. I mean, they're still way better than what we've seen from the Titans, who I don't know. I mean, it's just like okay, this Will Levis thing, it's probably not happening, right? I think the Titans are going to look for a new quarterback next year, despite the fact that there was that stretch where it looked kind of interesting. Kind of just throw bombs in this game, right? I mean, what are we doing here if we're not bombing the ball down the field, Will Levis?
Yeah, that's what you want from him. That's literally his only attribute that is redeemable, right? Just
Right.
grip it and rip it and hope Calvin Ridley and Nick Westbrook-Ikine come down with it. That's what you want. You don't want any of the short passing game nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't know. This Titans, I would bet the Titans have been the least watched team in the NFL this year.
More than Jacksonville?
Yeah, I think Jacksonville was a storyline for the first half of the season.
Yeah, I don't know. I think they've been probably less talked about, but I do think Titans have passionate fans where I don't
Sure,
know
I'm
if
saying
I could say
outside of the
same for
fans, if you're not a
Jacksonville.
fan of the team.
That's probably fair. Yeah. People have at least been talking about Jacksonville, so I give you that.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the Bengals probably had the most talked about 2 wins ratio out of any team.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, them and the Cowboys are probably 1 and 2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I don't know. Again, it'll be interesting to see. Bengals still have a chance if they can win, but I don't have too much else to add. Do you?
No, I think we're good. Can the Titans defense slow down Jamar Chase? Probably not, but they've had some decent performances this year.
Kyle, give me again.
Bears at Vikings.
Okay. Yeah, it's good, a good pick because it's a divisional matchup. So I agree. I'm picking the Vikings to win. Obviously, we have seen the Bears have these moments this season, right? Where they, they play well. They usually don't end up with victory, but we have seen them come close. Obviously, there was that stretch where they were, nearly beating several teams in a row. I don't know. I mean, I like what this Vikings team has done this season. I think they've been a very very good team. The last time we saw these two teams play, it did go to overtime. Granted, took a lot of stuff at the end by the Vikings by the Bears to force overtime with the onside kick and all that. But I don't know. Can there be some continuation there? Caleb Williams played well down the stretch in that Vikings, really that whole game. Could we see that again?
It's possible. I think obviously if you saw these two teams last week when Sam Darnold threw 5 touchdowns and the Bears got blown out by the 49ers, you would say this shouldn't be this close. But 3 weeks ago, these two teams played a 3-point game. So, I think you could take it both ways. It is weird. Usually we talked about it in the preview show last week. You usually see kind of the new head coach bump or the fired head coach bump where everyone's a little bit extra motivated.
Mm-hmm.
Bears did not look too motivated last week. I'll tell you that. And it is interesting. I think Matt Eberflus probably deserved to lose his job he deserved to lose his job this season. But after those 3 losses by a combined, 7 points in those 3 losses against 3 divisional opponents, and not just 3 divisional opponents. Those are 3 probably the best 4 teams in the NFC right now. Competing against those games, deciding to fire him there is definitely an interesting wrinkle to it where, I don't know, it felt very deflating for the team and just kind of we're getting on to next season at this point.
Yeah, and what's crazy too is the Bears have a brutal schedule down the stretch as well. I know they don't care that much, but play the Vikings, Lions, Seahawks, and Packers. Those are all playoff teams. So, yeah, it's tough. And again, Kyle, this is a Monday night game.
Yeah, we have 2 Monday night games again this week.
We do, but debatably, I think it's the
0
question
Monday
is will
night
we?
games?
Yeah, will we have the entertainment of one Monday night game? Is the question.
Yeah, you can go and do your Christmas pictures Monday night, I guess.
Yeah, I think I will say at least there is 2 of the teams playing are fighting for something. The Vikings are fighting for the 1 seed. Falcons are fighting for a playoff spot. So one of the games will probably be interesting, and then there'll be something here.
Yeah, I'll be watching Monday Night Premier League Soccer at 3:00, so I guess I'll just stick around and watch this one.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Yeah. And again, I know these teams played each other close a couple weeks ago, but let's be honest, the Vikings were the better team in that game, and Darnold was great in that game.
Yeah, no, he was, and he's been really good lately. And we've seen this debate pop up of should they trade JJ McCarthy and just build around Darnold at this point? To me, I still think that kind of depends on the contract, but that gets discussed after this season. But I think there's an argument for it because he's playing such lights out football again. He had a little stretch there in the middle where it wasn't so great, but at the same time, I think that they have the pieces here to kind of if they feel like he could be the guy, go for it.
Yeah. Let's move on. 3 games left to talk about. Kyle, I'm going to give you your team. Patriots at Cardinals.
Yeah. This is the right pick because we haven't seen the best version of the Cardinals in a bit. However, I'm still picking the Cardinals. Patriots can't rush the passer, and I just think that's a bad recipe for Kyler Murray. And I know he's had his struggles. I know he's had the dumb turnovers. And the Patriots, for one thing, like they've gotten some pretty dumb turnovers this year, so it could happen again. But that being said, I just think it is a not a very good football team, and I think Kyler Murray should be able to move the ball in this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's a must-win for the Cardinals. They're dead if they lose this game. They really probably need to win out, playing the Panthers, Rams, and 49ers their last 3 games of the season. So have to take care of business here. I think that the pathway for a Patriots victory really is win the turnover battle, which is kind of what the pathway has been for teams that have beaten the Cardinals the past 3 weeks, is winning the turnover battle. It was just 4 weeks ago against the Jets. This Cardinals team had one of Kyler's best games. We're all talking about them like it's happening. Cardinals are for real. They're going to make it happen. What a disappointing 3 weeks it's been since then. Actually, there's a bye week in there, so it's 4 games ago. What a disappointing 3 weeks in a row, though. They need to get right here.
Yeah, they definitely do. And the funny thing is, like, I don't even think the defense has played that bad in these games. Like, they got torn up by Charbonnet last week, but they've had moments in these games to put them in positions to win. So it's just really been a tough stretch, and it's really come down to the offense and specifically Kyler Murray making some mistakes. So I think it's a very tough situation here, and I just don't know. Like they've been very unconvincing. They're just facing one of the worst teams in the league at the right time.
Kyle, I'll give you how much time do you want to talk about the Patriots? 60 seconds?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking forward to watching Drake May. His development has been very noticeable. Obviously, I think he's gotten better as the season goes along, and he showed real flashes in his first game. So I think it's been very pleasing to see that. I think he had his best game of his career last week or 2 weeks ago against the Colts, coming off a bye. I want to see how he continues to develop. And he's going against a defense that, while I said it has played better, is still below average, and I still think it's a defense that we should be able to attack. So I think that's the one thing we could look at for the Patriots. Can they make this game a bit of a shootout, make it close like they did the Colts game last week? And I think they would put themselves in a position to win. But, I just want to see good Drake May keep playing well.
Yeah, that could be fun. Also, to say Kyle's mood this late into the show, he is also currently talking about soccer in the chat.
Yeah. Yeah, it is the Patriots are not fun to talk about. We have 2 guys I like talking about, Christian Gonzalez and Drake May.
All right. Well, we can move on then, I suppose. 2 games left. Kyle, which one are you giving me?
Let's go balls at Saints.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just by default not the last game selected. I'm picking Washington to win. The Saints are weird. They don't have Derek Carr now, so I guess, I mean, I don't know. Are we getting? Has it been announced if it's going to be Spencer Rattler or Jake Haener who's going to be the quarterback here? I mean, it's again, it's one of those. Thank you, Kyle. It's been one of those. I think Washington. Again, it's another one of those. They have to get right here. They have to, win this game. And honestly, probably cover the 7.5 point spread because they have. I mean, again, it's that Dallas loss, right? That we look at. That was a tough one.
Yeah, it was a very tough one. They served well in the Steelers game, and I think even the Eagles game too. But it hasn't been quite right, it seems like, in the second half of the season. That being said, they beat up on the Titans. That was a really good performance. It looked like a return to form, even despite, it being the Titans. I thought that was a really good performance. I just think you look at the Saints team, man, and they're probably not going to have Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara is listed as questionable. Didn't practice because of an illness. Like, all that put together, like, if they don't have those two, like, they should win this game by 20.
Yeah, I was looking it up while you were talking about the quarterback. It says they will both Jake Haener and Spencer Rattler are competing for the starting job on Sunday. Kyle, it's Wednesday. What do you mean they're competing for the starting job? The practice, we're halfway
15,
through the week.
Yeah. A week 15 quarterback competition is always a good sign.
Yeah, what do you mean? I don't understand. I don't fully get what's happening here with this Saints team. When they beat the Giants last week, Scott Hansen was like, He was like the Saints win, not technically out in the NFC South. I'm like, I think it's tough. I think they're in a bad spot. I think they're probably 3 games out and barely beat the Giants through the blocked field goal. I'm not sure if they're that close.
Yeah, I think it's time to write them off.
Maybe.
Scott's a traditionalist though. You're never out until you're out. You gotta let the math do the work here.
Yeah, I think so. Ready to move on to the last game?
Do you know they have a better point differential than the Falcons this season?
Well, it makes sense though because their first 2 games.
Yeah, they did win by 40. They have a -2 point differential. Atlanta has a -55.
I think Atlanta's like they're one of the worst in the league, right?
No, they're still. I mean, Carolina's -155, and
Okay,
there's a few teams in the hundreds.
but they're like for the playoff contenders, they're the worst.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kyle, Ravens Giants is the final game we have to talk about. This is going to be it's your game. Who do you got?
Who am I picking?
Yeah, who do you have to win?
I think I'm gonna go with the Ravens.
Okay.
This Dexter Lawrence will be out there. So
yeah,
there's that. We have a defensive line that is interesting enough. Actually, no, Dexter Lawrence is on IR. I lied.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I'm picking the Ravens.
Yeah, well, if no Dexter Lawrence, that's going to switch it. If it was Dexter Lawrence is there, you might consider picking the Giants.
Take the Giants plus 14.5, but no, not at this point. This is going to be a blowout.
Yeah,
I want to see. I think the one thing I do want to see in this game for the Ravens is I kind of want to see them throw all over this team because I think they've had some up and down passing games, and this going against this Giants secondary is basically practice at this point for this caliber of a team. So I just want to see them have a monster passing game. I want to see Lamar Jackson in 275 plus passing yards. I want to see Zay Flowers with the monster game. Let's get this passing game rolling and get the extra practice reps here Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I think their offense has been very good. Passing offense has been very good this season. I think I agree that they have had their low moments. I can't imagine the Giants are gonna create much issues. Weirdly, points per drive, they've actually been okay this season defensively. I think a big part of it is with the Giants. A lot of the second halves, teams are running out the clock.
Yeah, that is probably the right way to look at it. And this defensive line still makes some plays, so there is that. But without their best player, it's still a really tall task. If it was Ravens -21.5, which side would you take?
Ravens -21. I'd take Baltimore.
Yeah. So you think they can win by 4 scores? Maybe 7 years ago too?
Yeah, I think so.
Shout out Abe Lincoln.
Thank you. Kyle, you're on fire today.
Yeah. 4 scores 7 years ago?
Yeah, no, I got it.
Yeah, there we go. All right. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, it's good stuff. No, I don't know. Could we see the Ravens defense play better in this game?
Yeah, they should. They're playing XFL quarterback.
Yeah, I think so. This is Kyle had that one loaded up. Yeah, Kyle, did you do this? Were you planning that one out? Did you think of
the only things I have loaded up are for Penix?
Okay, gotcha. Maybe in the shower you were like, wait a second, a 4 score. If I could make what's the biggest line? Let me
Oh yeah. This is all top of the dome, man.
Yeah,
I'm just that talented.
Right. I agree, Kyle. Unlike the Giants, that is our show, Kyle. Those are the 16 games. Let them know where they can find us on Twitter before we head out.
Yeah, make sure to follow us on Twitter. That is at Jackson Kruger. Make sure to follow me at by Kyle Gronin, and make sure to follow the account page at On the Sideline JK. That is at On the Sideline JK.
Of course, if you like audio only podcast, search On the Sideline podcast. It should be available there. See, this is why a lot more people just watch the recap show. This is why you got to watch the preview show. This is we have fun here.
We're unhinged on this one. Maybe just me, but we're trying our best.
Yeah, I've had my unhinged moments too. This has definitely been a more Kyle unhinged show, but we've had it the other way.
Yeah, we're rolling, baby. It's week 15. We're in the dog days now. We're tired. We need an IR break, really. We got some bang ups that we need to fix, but we're marching on here.
Yeah, it's weird how this tends to be the lowest moment of the season, because we are getting into the end of it, but there's 16 games, so there's so much to keep track of, and it's like there's the holidays, and a lot of teams we kind of know who's in the playoffs and who isn't. There's only a few teams that we don't. So yeah, usually these next couple weeks tend to be a little slower, and then it really ramps up right before the playoffs.
Yeah. Once we hit past Christmas, those last 2 weeks have the most intrigue because there's still playoff spots up for grabs, seeding up for grabs, and then we hit the playoffs, which is obviously elite.
Yeah. Keyman in the chat says, in terms of hockey, both Boston and Tampa coming off an L. NHL has been good to us. Banned for life. Got to ban Keyman for life.
Bruins started playing well since they switched coaches, and then they immediately lose 8-1 when I start thinking they're playing well. So that was fun.
That's been the Lightning. Is every time I buy in, then they lose. I mean, I think Lightning have been all right, but yeah, it's I don't know. It will our glory days might be behind us, Kyle.
Yeah, I think it may be time for us both to move on.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? What is this soccer slander in the chat? What are we doing here? We have Europeans in this chat. Speak up for your sport, man. This is good. The Premier League might be the most entertaining product in the world right now. Honestly, like I think Premier League is putting out some really good stuff. Serie A, I think like the top 8 teams are separated by 2 points. Like we got good stuff. We had some fun Champions League games today. Like we got good stuff going on here. It's just my team that stinks. That's all.
Kyle, I told you I went to the Orlando City semifinal game. I'm convinced soccer is just about who's tallest. Because you got to head it in. That's the conclusion I've come to. It's just all about who's tallest.
The best player of all time is like 5'6".
Yeah, but he probably has tall teammates.
No.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. So everyone, I mean, hey, Kyle, if you had if you had an NBA team out there, a bunch of 7 feet tall guys heading the ball in, I mean, they'd score every time.
Yeah. Well, I will say this: bad soccer, like the MLS, I think set pieces play a major factor, and so a lot of it does come down to like corner kick stuff like that. Or if you're Arsenal, which is just scoring every corner kick they can right now in the Premier League, that is a huge factor. Yes, but in general, no. This is a sport where low center of gravity has definitely played favors to some people. I mean, Messi's a short guy, and he's the greatest player of all time.
But it's really just about who can. Like, it's who's kicking it, right? Like that. It's like the setting up of the ball, the kicking of the ball in those spots is really what matters, right?
In ways, I mean, like there are guys who convert at a higher percentage, kind of thing. I think a lot of it. A lot of it is just about kind of scheme and technicality. Like a lot of it, like soccer is a weak link sport. Like if you can't have the worst player on the field because that guy just gets exposed more than anybody else.
I don't know. I think it really just comes down to who's tallest.
It's okay. You can think that way.
Okay. Again, thank you to everybody for listening to all this nonsense. Now I'm getting off the rails, Kyle.
Yeah, that's fine. You got some soccer takes. Let them fly, man.
Yeah. Yes. Next week I'll give more soccer takes. Again, thank you to everybody. We do appreciate it. Until next time, have a good one.
Peace.